don't need a high-end designer or a lot of money to get a luxe look. Be your own interior designer.
This is Affordable Interior Design, the podcast.
Here's your host, Betsy Helmuth.
Without further ado, I'm going to get to Heather's question. Heather is located in Oregon. She writes, "Hi, Betsy. I love your podcast and have read your book. I'm hoping you can help me with a couple of design struggles in our living room. The house is a very old farmhouse that we have done a ton of effort and put a lot of time into. But the living room got cut short when we did our kitchen remodel. I'm just getting back to it and I feel stuck on a couple of things. Overall, I like the layout. It's comfortable. It's functional for our family. I've thought a lot about the style in here, and I would say it lends toward cozy industrial. Although not everything fits perfectly into that category. There are touches of mid-century modern. My first issue is that I'd love to add some color, but I also like things clean, airy, and uncluttered. The best way I could think would be an area rug. The problem is that our carpeting, is not really short piles, so I'm afraid that a rug layered on top of our carpeting would not work well. We will eventually do a lot of the flooring to match our kitchen, but I'm afraid the floor in here is uneven enough that we may have to leave carpet. The second question is, how do we handle this TV wall? My husband got a bigger TV over Christmas, and now it is larger than our TV stand. It's fine because I don't think that the stand is a good fit stylistically anyway. It's too dark and it's transitional. I'd love to build a shallow floor-to-ceiling gas fireplace here that doesn't cut the room too much. But I don't know if it would look right with the ceiling beams or if it would center well on the beams and would still leave enough room for traffic flow. Currently, it's offset to the left. Do I get a longer TV stand? Do I put a plant on the wall to the right to make that more of a focal point? I'd appreciate any pointers. Thank you. Heather, I am here to help. And luckily, you have sent me lots of good pictures so I can give you customized advice. Guys, when you send in your questions, please send pictures because it helps me to not only understand the situation visually, but also to give you advice that's truly tailored to your situation rather than just general advice, even though that can be helpful too. All right. Digging into these pictures, you do have a lovely farmhouse. When I'm shopping for homes, I'm looking for an older home as well. So I'm seeing a lot of farmhouses in Connecticut, very similar to this one with the beautiful dark wood beams, the high ceilings, the pitched roof. I love it, right? But there are some challenges, especially with the loft space, with lots of different things, including what style to go with. So I want to start there because that's where you started your email. You mentioned that this is cozy industrial. I beg to differ. I don't really see much industrial. Now, maybe you're going to infuse more of it into this space, but right now I think this space truly has a style crisis. You were totally right. It has a mid-century modern console. It is, in my mind, a transitional bookcase with cabinets at the bottom and an arc at the top. It has transitional armchairs that are tufted with curved lines for the arms. It has a contemporary set of sofas that have straight arms and are kind of chunky. It does have an industrial task lamp and it does have an industrial table between the chairs. But those two small items do not an industrial room make. So if you truly want this room to feel industrial, you're going to have to incorporate more rustic woods, more metals, more seated glass. I am not seeing industrial anywhere. I'm going to need to see some burlap or open weave linen drapes. I'm going to need to see, no, this is not industrial. I guess it could be cozy, but cozy is not really oozing from this room either. You do have a few throw blankets, but they're on a ladder, so they're not even draped over the sofa in a sumptuous curl up on the couch kind of way. I'm not feeling the cozy. Yeah. Cozy, I would want to have really decadent fabrics. I might want to have velvet curtains. I might want to have warm colors in here for accents. And I'm seeing a lot of gray with the gray armchairs, the darker gray sofas, the grayish wall to wall carpeting, the gray wall paint. Yeah, cozy's not happening either. So I think we need to get much clearer on that two-word phrase and how we're going to implement it in this room, because right now, for me, it's pretty wishy-washy. The fireplace, I'm not fully understanding because I'm not currently seeing a fireplace in the space. I think you'd referenced that there is one, but I don't see it. I do think that would help with the cozy. I do think it would certainly fit with the era of the home and the idea that farmhouse typically does have a lot of fireplaces because that's how these older homes were typically heated. I think that would be a great addition to this really big room. And if you did that, you may just mount the TV above that. Speaking of mounting the TV, a lot of people think that you shouldn't mount it above a fireplace because it'll be too high. But if you do have a very deep room and if you do angle the TV down, you don't have to worry about that front row of the movie theater effect where you're craning your neck to see your show. You do have a big room. You do have a TV that's mounted too high. Now, it's perfectly high if it's above a fireplace, but it's too high to be at eye level above a TV stand. If you're going to use another TV stand, do get one that's longer than the TV because right now it looks a little top heavy. And I completely agree with you that your current TV stand is transitional. But right now, the whole room is reading pretty transitional to me. So let me just point that out. So you want to get one that's bigger and you'll want to lower your TV so that it's between 3 and 6 inches above the TV stand. Right now, it's probably 12 to 14. And this behemoth TV is kind of just looming large, high above the room, and it looks a little unusual. I completely agree with you that with carpeting that has a significant pile height, you cannot layer an area rug. Now, of course, you could, but it's going to buckle up, it's going to bubble, it's going to have rolls, and every time you walk on it, it's going to be somewhat uneven in terms of constant subtle shifts, even if it's anchored under furniture. So I think that is not the direction to go in when you're trying to infuse it with color. This is perfectly set up for drapes. In fact, when you're dealing with a modern farmhouse or when you're trying to achieve an industrial look, it can feel a little cold. It can feel a little unapproachable. Right now, we have tons of wood, we have high ceilings, we have a lot of gray. It doesn't feel so inviting in here. I think flanking the windows with drapes that have a color or a pattern or a yummy texture will really help this space to start to feel a certain way. You just want to determine what way it is that you want it to feel. And let's see what else. You do want to think about this room in connection to the kitchen because it is open to that space. And so you want to make sure that you're bringing elements and colors from the kitchen area and tying them into this living room area. When I'm peeking through the living room into the kitchen, I'm not seeing much color. And so, if you kind of have a blank canvas, you may want to consider starting that color in the living room and then infusing it into the kitchen area with, say, artwork, a centerpiece on the dining table. You might want to do something more dramatic with the pendants, or at least lower the pendants, because above an island, your pendant should be 30 to 36 inches from the top of the countertop to the bottom of the pendant. And here I can see that they're too high. See, guys, you ask me a list of questions in your email, but you always get a little more than you bargain for when you write to me because with pictures, I do like to look and give extra advice. We want to think of rooms, especially rooms that open up into each other, as sort of a holistic experience. You can't just look at the living room if when I'm seated on your sofa, I'm staring at the kitchen and dining area. You need to consider all the spaces that you can see from one vantage point, or else you're not truly designing a cohesive home. So, Heather, you come to me for your living room, and I give you a smackdown on other rooms. Careful what you wish for, but hopefully some of those tips helped you move your room in the right direction. A big thank you to Aton and the Embassy who wrote our theme song. A shout out to Catherine Heller who owns the podcast shop and is our editor extraordinaire. We also want to thank Ginny Sunasan and her team at the Savvy Podcast Agency for their help with our social, our YouTube channel, and so much more. We also want to thank Uploft, which is our parent company who supports this podcast. And lastly, we owe a huge debt of gratitude to you. Thank you so much for tuning in and for all your support.